Hey, welcome back again, everyone. So, 2021 was probably the year of woke garbage TV shows and movies. And one that really was woke personified was Why the Last Man. I mean, this thing got sent down the river and cancelled almost right away as it came out, proving once again that Hollywood has no idea what they're doing and that left wing agendas have no business in entertainment. Let me give you a quick rundown of what Why the Last Man is about. After some unknown cataclysmic event causes every man and male animal on the planet to literally choke to death on their own insides and die horribly. All except for one man, Yorick Brown, and his male pet monkey, Ampersand. Why the Last Man follows Yorick as he traverses the new world as its survivors struggle with their losses and attempt to restore world society. That is what we were supposed to get. But from the very first episode, I could tell this show was a mess. Actually, to be honest, it wasn't before I was looking from the trailer that I knew exactly what this show was going to be. So, what exactly doomed this show, you might ask? Well, let's take a look at it. Constant delays in development. Before filming even began, production for this show was riddled with problems, from major recasting of several lead characters, including the male lead, a showrunner change and moving to a new platform. It took 6 years after landing at FX for development for the filming of this series to even begin, and when COVID-19 hit, production was delayed yet again. No one ever actually talked about this show. This fact was very suspicious because after it was learned that the series would be premiering, I never heard anyone attached to the show actually talk about the show itself. All that was ever mentioned was that the show would be directed by a woman and with people of color both behind and on screen, and that's it. Nothing was ever said about the actual show itself, nothing about how the show would be portrayed or what direction it would take. No information apart from the synopsis of the show was ever divulged. It skipped the most interesting part. After the unknown event killed all the men and Yorick awoke to a world in chaos, this would have been an excellent opportunity for them to show what happened next. I mean, seeing how he had to discover that he was the last living man left, what happened when he went outside, as well as how he had to learn to survive and navigate in this new environment, would make for a great character building story, along with getting to see how the rest of the world went into panic mode and how other countries and cultures dealt with this unexpected cataclysm would have really set the stage and opened the door to future threats and new characters. But nope, they skipped all of that, jumped ahead 6 months, and we suddenly see Yorick running around in a gas mask with no context or explanation whatsoever. They put the wrong plot on the front burner. The show is called Why the Last Man, yet we barely see any of Yorick, who is the last man on Earth. Instead, the show descends into a political drama, female power struggle. Diane Lane, wonderful actress, totally wasted in this show, however. She plays Jennifer Brown. She's Yorick's mother and a Democratic U.S. Congresswoman who is elevated to the office of president. Now, When 4 billion men suddenly start bleeding from every hole in their body and horrendously die, one would think there would be more important things to worry about than who gets to be president. However, since America is apparently the most important country in the world, let's have continuous catfights and hissing matches about who gets to be in charge. Because that's much more important than the survival of the human race. It reaches to the point where you're not even sure what the hell the show is supposed to be about anymore. Honestly, you just... Yorick is the worst. Okay, now I know I'm backtracking here. I said that the show should show more of Yorick and his journey, but honestly, Yorick is a waste of space. As a character, he is truly unlikable. Everything he shouldn't do, he does. Everything he should do, he doesn't. And every time he should listen and take the situation seriously, he finds a way to screw it up completely. His mother assigns Agent 355 to protect him and get him to a geneticist that can determine why he alone survived. Yet, how that woman found the strength not to shoot him, I will never know. He constantly does stupid things that put them both in danger and treats everything like he's half awake. He should have gotten more growth and development as the show moved along, but nope, he just continues to be an ever-growing pain in the ass. No wonder he was named after a clown. Honestly, I think the reason that he didn't die with all the other men is because he was already brain dead from the neck up. Everyone is to blame but me. Now, if you think Yorick is a head case, his sister, Hero, is a whole new level of screwed up and toxic. She's a paramedic and has a problem with her parents, but mostly her mother, because they tried to give her the best and she turned out to be an alcoholic drug user who is also having sex with a married man whose wife just had a baby and they don't approve of that. I mean, what the hell were you expecting? They were going to throw you a parade and tell you it's okay? Your best friend is Sam, a transgender man, and when the world descends into anarchy and it becomes literal hell for Sam out there because, he looks like a man but apparently he's supposed to be transgender or something. I mean, Sam literally begs her to go to her mother for help, to help the both of them. So she in turn does everything to sabotage it so she doesn't have to go. She even joins a literal cult called the Amazons, led by a crazy woman who easily convinces her that all the dead men are to blame for her life, that she herself screwed up. Even when it becomes dangerous for Sam to be in that group, because again, they're a bunch of lunatics, and he tries to convince her to leave, she doesn't care about Sam's feelings and only her own. When Sam does leave on his own, because again his life is in danger, she blames him for not staying with her and continuing to suffer. So he's supposed to say and suffer with you because you just want to continue being a flipping screw up. Cancelled it at episode 7. Before the first season was even over, FX pulled the plug and cancelled the show. I mean, not surprising because this could barely even be called a show. Now, I read some of Y the Last Man, the comic series, not all of it, but a few issues. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever read, but it was interesting. This show, however, is not. Brian K. Vaughan, one of the executive producers for the show, wrote on his Instagram page a long rambling post after the show got cancelled, but never once actually talked about the show itself. He went on about how the production team consisted of a diverse crew of women. How the hell is that diverse if your production team is all women? That doesn't make any sense. People of color and LGBTQ plus community. God, Father, and you wonder why they commit to another woke nonsense. Yet never a single word about the actual show. I mean, you don't even have faith in your own show. And no one seems to care about the production team. No one gives a damn who they are, but for some reason you expect people to watch this mess because it have, a diverse team of women, which for some reason is now diverse, people of color and LGBTQ plus people. That is all that a show needs to be popular. No, not to have a good story. No, to hell with that. Let's just bring in this. But I mean, all the other characters are just awful. Let's just take a quick look at the other characters that make up this train wreck. First up is Agent 355, who is supposed to be this badass female secret agent, and at times she does some okay stuff. But mostly she's a confused wannabe Jason Bourne who sleepwalks and has some mysterious past that nobody gives a shit about, but... And then there's Dr. Allison Mann, the geneticist that's supposed to find out why Yorick didn't die. Oh, I know why he didn't die, brain dead from the neck up, but okay. However, she spends all her time trying to get Yorick not to trust Agent 355, rambling about how smart she is and yet never doing a damn thing to show it. And of course, she must mention that she's gay, because that is essential in some way. They had even had this whole thing set up where it was trying to lead towards something with Yorick and Agent 355 kind of getting together, but then nope, all of a sudden they just swapped that out, and then all the next thing you know, you see Agent 355 and Allison Mann lie down sleeping up somewhere. They say was supposed to be for she sleepwalking, but you know what they were implying. Next up, we have Beth, who's Yorick's girlfriend, who didn't want to marry him before all of this happened, and then joins a terrorist group that invades the Pentagon. I mean, we never learn when or why she joined this group or what the hell her reasoning for any of what she did was, but somehow she joins this terrorist group, and that's supposed to be okay for some screwed up reason. And then finally, we have Kimberly Campbell, the former president's daughter. After spending the majority of the series leading the catfight for the presidency, she finds out that Yorick is alive and then wants to capture him and have some kind of religious Christian orgy to get everyone pregnant with. She having dreams of riding him bareback or kind of thing. I mean, it was just weird and confusing and shit. Confusing as hell indeed. This show never made any sense and just continued to show how confusing and ridiculous it could be. The show spent more than 80% of its time being a political drama that no one cared about. It dragged itself across those coals for like this non-important plot point was the highlight of the series, leaving very little life for anything else in the show to make sense. I mean, then there was when Dr. Mann started talking about how there's no genetic difference between men and women, as some women have Y chromosomes, so some of them died. I mean, I was asking myself what any of that had to do with anything in this show. What the hell does any of that have to do with any bloody thing other than you just taking this opportunity to spout some wokish nonsense? Also, remember that Amazon cult thing that Hero joined? Well, it was led by a crazy woman who wanted to kill all the men that were already dead by killing the women who missed the men because they were now the men in her mind, so she wanted to kill them but then save the women by having them kill the other women who were still loyal to the men so that they could take over and not have the men. I mean, look, the whole thing was very confusing and irritating. But finally, the biggest question is never answered. Now, maybe it's just me, but if all the members of a specific gender suddenly died, I'd want some answers. I mean, what if it's only the beginning and in a year the women will also die? You want to know who or what caused this? Was it some sort of genetic or biological attack? Was it some kind of radiation wave or some kind of event from space or something? The biggest question in this show is what killed all the men? Yet they never answer it. They never give any clues about it, and honestly, they don't even seem to care. Fighting over who gets to be president, crazy cults, and whatever shit Yorick was messing up was clearly much more important than that elephant in the room. This was the most important aspect of this show, and they just squandered it. 10 episodes and nothing of importance other than some meaningless, nonsensical bullshit. Once again, we see what happens when a show tries to steer away from what would have made it great and instead becomes another agenda-filled woke failure. The characters were horrible, the show had no direction, the drama was dull, and it missed its mark and never even attempted to turn back, thus dooming Y the Last Man from the start. Now, even if by some miracle another production company picks up this mess, I personally have no interest in ever watching any more of it. It just didn't make any sense to me. It just seemed ridiculous. And finally, normally I like animal companions in movies and TV shows because they add a cute and enjoyable vibe to, everything. It makes it more wholesome. But as for Ampersand, I hated that monkey. I hated that annoying, wretched little monkey. Hated it. Final rating, 1 out of 5. Total waste of time, don't even bother watching it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else what your thoughts are about this show if you had seen it. And I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.